I don't always agree with Chris Matthews because Chris Matthews had become the mouthpiece, the propagandist for the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party for too long. And even at times, he gave them a hard time. But you know what? I think he nailed it here with regards to Donald Trump. I hope what he's saying about the trial becoming the last election, in effect, sort of an election on Trump that people actually see a defeat. I hope that is true. I don't know if it is or not, but the sentiment of what he has to say makes a lot of sense. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
What do you make of where Donald Trump stands now with his protective order potentially, and Joyce Vance even talking about this judge having to consider all sorts of potentials because of the way he behaves? Do you think the former president will curb his behavior this time?
I don't think so. I agree with Gene and his view of the world in South America. I had the same experience in Africa in the Peace Corps. Our great pride is that we've had clean elections. We've had people who've conceded defeat at the end of them. In fact, in the entire age of television, going back to Adlai Stevenson, when we first got TVs at home, the defeated candidate went on television and said he lost or she lost with Hillary Clinton. And that's what I think we need. Very reason we need this trial in court. You can call Jack Smith deranged, make fun of him the way you did of Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio and treat it like a clown act. But once this guy's in court with you and basically has the law on his side and operates with procedure, you're going to look like the bad guy. And that's what the beauty of this is. We're going to have a concession speech basically on television in the form of a trial. And I think that's something Trump is scared to death of, an actual where he sits in the defendant's booth in that desk and he has to act like a defendant in a criminal case.
Chris, you and I have been around politicians in Washington for a very, very long time. And I'm just curious. We finally got Ron DeSantis yesterday to say, of course, Donald Trump lost. But this is something that the majority of Republicans don't want to say. It's almost like they're brought kicking and screaming to say, and usually they only say it when they have no shot at winning a primary. How does that change?
Or they're on the way out the door, like Mitt Romney. They actually are leaving the political room. So they say, okay, I can leave the room now and I can actually speak honestly. But these guys have an oath too, and I do think this idea that you're Donald Trump, assume you can imagine that. You're watching the election reports coming in from Arizona, and Fox tells you lost there. And then you look at Wisconsin, and then you find out you're 12,000 short in Georgia. Real numbers. You're facing real numbers like you did in 2016. This time they're against you. It's close. As Jefferson said, if it's one vote, it still matters. You got to accept the loss. And in real time, he was facing reality. And in a court, they can bring that to the table. And I think the judge will hear that. It's a tough judge in this case. And I think she's going to insist on hearing the truth of what happened when Trump did to the country. He lied. He lied and said, I won, knowing he didn't get any information to that effect. And I think that's what we have to count on here, that those people in the Republican Party that are not with Trump right now, not in their 37%, will honestly see this as an honest case. And I we've come a long way from Newt Gingrich in the days of Jimmy Carter, even and Ronald Reagan, where Washington was no good. It eventually became the deep state. But first of all, it was corrupt Jim Wright. Then it was corrupt everybody, Nixon. And everybody's corrupt. And finally, the whole city's corrupt. But this trial is going to be held in New York, in Washington. And we're going to have to face the reality that some people aren't going to believe it because we've come this far.
Again, Chris Matthews, I think he nailed it here for the most part. Donald Trump, unlike any other person who has lost an election, he made a mockery of who we are. Yes, he pointed out that at times Washington was very, very corrupt, and not that it isn't corrupt right now, but with regards to the elections, etc., it's nowhere near where it has been at times. Donald Trump lost the election. And in the process of attempting to win, he attempted a coup on the United States of America. I know there's a group that refuses to accept that. It is something we have to hammer into their heads over and over again. This man is not your president. This guy is nothing more than a self-serving narcissist insurrectionist who attempted a coup on the United States of America and made us the laughing stock of the world. And if we somehow have a sect in this country sufficiently large that can use the undemocratic nature of our constitution, electoral college, etc., to bring him back into power because he would never get the popular vote, then shame on us. And it is the end of the United States that we have been trying to attain for so long.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.